viewers, welcome to the Policy Times. Today we have a very esteemed guest, Dr. Kiriti Sengupta, and we are going to discuss something on poetry, and he is a proud recipient of the Rabindranath Tagore Literary Prize 2018. Welcome, sir, to the Policy Times.
Thank you so much, Hitesh.
So, how do you feel after being shortlisted for the prestigious Rabindranath Tagore Literary Prize 2018?
I can say I'm happy after being shortlisted for this prestigious award. They have selected my book. It is an old book. It's called Healing Waters, Floating Lamps. And after this announcement, I'm feeling really happy, much delighted. But you know, the influence or the effect of an award, it lasts only for a few minutes.
Okay. And your book was also adjudged for the best review poetry book.
Yeah, that's another book. That's a trilogy. It's a poetic trilogy called Dreams of the Sacred and Ephemeral. It's a collection of 3 individual books. You know, all these books have been compiled under 2 covers, and I'm thankful to my publisher Hawakol, who has published this poetic trilogy, and it is said to be the first trilogy in Indian English poetry.
Okay.
And I'm thankful to my reviewer Jagari Mukherjee, who has written a wonderful review of this book, and she has won the first prize among the big book reviewers.
Actually, as we know about you, you write in 2 languages. You have poetry in 2 languages, English and Bengali.
I mostly write in English language. Yes, I used to write in the Bengali language as well.
Okay. So there is my question. What difficulty a poet has to face when he's writing poetry in 2 different languages?
Well, poetry is essentially language specific. Like what you write in Bengali may not sound or may not read that well in English if I write in English. So you have to look into you have to consider the nuances of a language. So it is not that easy to write simultaneously in more than 1 language. But of course, yes, Bengali is my mother tongue.
Yeah.
So I'm more fluent in Bengali. English is an international language, if not a foreign language. And yes, I can manage quite well or pretty well in English as well.
Yeah, we will talk about your one of the books, Solitary Stillness. As I'm saying, that your recent book, Solitary Stillness, contradicts the basic essence of Kolkata, which is popular as city of joy. Why do you feel that consumerism is degrading our society rather than directing us toward modernism?
I won't blame consumerism. I won't blame consumerism as the only cause for the degradation of our society, of modern society. The poem that I wrote, it's a very short poem, so please allow me to read a few lines.
Sure, that would be an honor for us.
The poem is titled The Bengali Phenomenon. Trust me, we are essentially nonchalant and waste time. Jubilation ahoy. It took ages to savor the ecstasy until Lapierre released his City of Joy. Well, we often refer Kolkata to as the City of Joy. Whenever we are referring our city or our Kolkata to as the City of Joy, we are actually referring to the title of the novel. But you know, Kolkata is essentially a city always filled with joy and delight.
Okay.
We have so many Mahatmas there. We had, probably not anymore. But until Lapierre wrote and released his novel, his book, we didn't realize that our city is a city of joy. So this poem, I believe this poem has hardly to do anything with consumerism. But this poem, as I feel, it directs to our attitude, to the typical Bengali attitude, which runs as, if I'm not awarded as poet, they won't consider me an able poet.
Okay.
Like I'll give you an example, Nitesh. Yesterday, after being awarded the certificate, the prize, I posted the certificate on my Facebook timeline. I got numerous messages, more than 230 messages, more than 250 likes on that particular post. People who have liked the post, who took time to comment on my post, they are my friends on Facebook. They read almost all my updates, I think, but very rarely and only a few took time to comment on my earlier posts. So unless I'm I'm award-winning poet, they won't consider me a poet seriously. So it's all about the attitude of people. And my poem that I wrote for Solitary Stillness, it showcases the typical nonchalant attitude of Bengalis. So it has hardly to do anything with consumerism.
Okay. And there was one my main question that you have talked about the dictums of goodness in your own book, Reflection on Salvation.
Reflections on Salvation is a chapbook. It was published in the US.
Okay.
And my publisher, Dustin Pickering, he is the owner of Transcendent Zero Press in Houston.
Okay.
Well, Reflections on Salvation, I didn't want to teach people. No. I just wanted to share my perception, my lookout, my visions on salvation.
Okay.
Look, you have prepared a set of questions for this interview.
Yes, sure.
As soon as you are done with this interview, you get a relief. So you get salvation.
Okay.
Salvation is not essentially a thing or a feeling that you are beyond the vicious circle of death and birth. Whatever you do, whatever your profession allows you to do, if you do it satisfactorily, you get liberation. So I have shared my views on salvation or liberation in that particular chapbook. It's called Reflections on Salvation. Yes.
But the question again comes around the same thing, that the concept of salvation seems impractical. Obviously, you have mentioned a very practical approach to the salvation, that if you feel satisfaction in your profile, in your job, or in your work, any work, then it is salvation.
If you go with the scriptural meaning of salvation, scriptural meaning, well, salvation, the word salvation is only applicable to those who believe in reincarnation.
Okay.
Suppose you don't believe in rebirth, reincarnation.
Then there is no meaning.
Then there is no meaning. But a word shouldn't lose its meaning according to your belief. Salvation, be it liberation, it varies from one person to another person.
Okay. There's been one more, means you can say a trend or something like that. Generally, poet talks about the beauty of nature, that the nature is so much beautiful and we should feel attracted towards it. Even a common mass.
Much has been, said about nature, about waterfalls, about mountains, about the sky, about the clouds. So it's high time we write about something else that will be more meaningful. I'm not telling you that if I write on nature, if I write on the hills, if I write on the sky, that will be less meaningful. No. But enough has been written about them. So why not we try something new, something that may ignite new thoughts, something new that may inspire you to think on a particular subject in several ways.
Okay, so you are talking about the thought process and the thinking of the common masses, that enough has been written on nature and something like that. So again, my one question is that how still the modern era poets have not been able to influence the thought process of the common masses? Where we are talking about the Rabindranath Tagore Literary Prize.
Yes.
Obviously, he has been a very, you can say, a man who has always respected women. But why we are not able to change? We talk about a lot of things, being a poet and being a writer.
If you say common people, I'll rather ask you a question.
Okay.
Until the media highlights an issue,
okay,
people usually tend to avoid thinking about those issues,
Okay.
So until you highlight literature in the right light,
Okay.
you showcase literature in the right light, people won't take literature, be it poets, be it novelists,
Yeah.
or be it short story
Not
writer.
sure, any format.
So it's now up to the hands of media people, press people, to showcase, to elicit literature properly, so people can approach literature and consume the fuel that is inside the written words.
Okay, that means when the media has to play an important role in
Absolutely.
generating thought
Like
process.
let me allow to read another poem.
Yeah, sure. Sir.
It's written on nature.
Okay.
It's written on nature, and the poem is titled Worm. It's in my book, The Earthen Flute.
Other few.
Yeah. In Worm, I wrote, with every earthquake, I realize I have failed to express much attention to my mother. I repeat, with every earthquake, I realize I have failed much attention. I have failed to express much attention to my mother.
Okay.
She has a right to take me into her again. I know she will take enough care as she took before. World, you may comment on material loss. Only the mother understands her rupture pain. So, you can treat nature on a different plane, on a different level. It's not essential, it's not compulsory to write on the beauties of nature. Earthquake is a natural calamity.
Yeah, natural calamity.
Earthquake happens, it happens
Often not, if not very
yes,
often.
if not very often. But whenever earthquake hits, I tend to think that it was us, the people, who failed to take enough care of Mother Nature. And that is the main reason of the earthquakes nowadays.
Okay. We're talking about the enhancement of the poets and the novelists, the literary fraternity, but when they are getting promoted, just as the lyrics writers and script writers, there is a degradation in the quality. Obviously, the poets have a much better
The
quality.
lyrics and poetry.
Yeah,
But I'm not the right person to comment on lyrics on songs, because I have not written songs
Okay.
yet. So I'll
No, I'm talking about the general perception. Obviously, when we look about the poetry, whether it be in any language, whether it be Hindi or English or Urdu,
But
or
there are poets. There are several poets, several Bengali poets who are writing songs, who are writing poetry as well, and they are popular in both the genres. So since I have not written a single song yet,
Okay.
I'm not the right person to answer this question.
Okay, sir. Okay, and my last question: what would be your message to the young minds from the desk of the Policy Times?
For the young minds, did you mean writers, poets?
Young minds, yeah, the poets who are aspiring, who are trying to be as much as you, as big as you.
I'm just a small thing.
That's your
on this
humble
earth. Well, to all aspiring poets, to all aspiring writers, my only message will be: think differently.
Okay.
Think what your mind wants to think. Don't look for immediate rewards or immediate appreciation. Write and write again until you find liberation.
Okay, that's all from our side, and keep watching the Policy Times and visit our website and social media pages. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.